Hello, hi, welcome to my channel. Today I'll be making meat pie, which is a popular snack eaten in Africa. As usual, I'll be listing the ingredients and measurements in the description box. So this recipe will be in two parts, and that will be the pastry and the filling. And for the filling, I'm going to be adding a little chili. It's very mild. I'll be adding that to the filling, and I'll start by finely chopping all the ingredients for the filling, as this will help it to cook quicker. So the ingredients are all chopped up now, and I'm going to set it aside while I start frying the mincemeat. So for my mincemeat, I don't usually use oil to fry it because it already has fat in it. So even though I'm using a low fat mince, there is still enough oil for the mince to cook with or to fry with. So the longer I'm frying it, the more I'm frying it, it's going to release liquid and oil, as you can see. So as I continue to fry, the liquid will dry up, leaving the oil. So I'm adding the chopped onions, the potatoes and the carrots, and I'm going to continue to fry this until the carrots and the potatoes softens. So this will take about 5 minutes, which is why we chopped it so finely, so it doesn't take long to cook. So I'm adding salt, the bouillon stock powder and dried thyme, and this is for seasoning. So as you can see, I haven't added any oil, and it's still looking quite oily. So at this stage, I'm going to add the chopped chili. So I'm using a very mild chili for this filling, and it's not hot. And what it does, it gives it a very nice outlook. It makes it so attractive when you cut into the pie. As you can see, it's very colorful. Well, if you don't want the chili, you can leave this out. Like I said, it's not hot. So I'm going to thicken the pie filling, and what I've done here is I've added water. I've mixed flour and water. That's a flour and water. I've mixed it to thicken the pie filling. So it's always good for you to thicken the pie filling so that it doesn't fall apart. So it helps it to hold together. So the pie filling is ready, and I'm going to set this aside while I get on with the pastry. So in a bowl here, I've got plain flour, and I've just added salt into it. And I've got the butter, which I have cubed, is still quite cold, but not very hard. So it should be of a texture that you can squeeze it with your hand. So I'm going to mash it together with the flour until it becomes very crumbly. So it will look like breadcrumbs. So I'm just squeezing this with my fingers, and you can see how it looks like. It looks like breadcrumbs. So I'm going to make a well in the middle and add cold water. So I'm adding the cold water little at a time until I form a dough. So I'm going to lightly knead this on the worktop just to bring everything together. So the dough is set, and I'm going to wrap this with a cling film and then set it aside for half an hour. So after half an hour, I'm going to start kneading the dough. So I'm going to lightly flour the worktop so that it doesn't stick, and then I'll start rolling out the dough. I'm not rolling all the dough in one go, so I'm just rolling half of it. So I'm going to gently roll this thinly, but not very thin, just about 1/8 of an inch. And after rolling, I'll start cutting the pie into shape. You can use any item you have at home depending on the size that you want your pie to be. If you want it bigger, you use a bigger item to cut it. So I've used the lid of my pot to cut this pie, and I'm adding the filling now. The filling should be added to the edge on one side of the pie so that you use the other flap to cover it. Because if you place it in the middle, you can't really form a pie, if you get what I mean. So after covering it, I'm going to use a fork to seal the edge of the pie. If you like, you can use your finger, whatever works for you. But make sure the edge of the pie is sealed so that the filling doesn't leak out when it's baking in the oven. So I'm going to place this in my pizza pan. So the pizza pan is non-stick. I don't need to flour it or anything. It comes off easily. And I'm going to continue cutting the pie. Sometimes I use my pie cutter to make a shape. Like I said, you can use any item that you have at home. And I've also lined the oven pan with grease-proof paper. I have a pie cutter. You can use the pie cutter to cut it if you prefer. So just roll out the dough and place it on the pie cutter. I lightly floured it so that it doesn't stick to the pie cutter. And as usual, I'll add the filling to one edge of the pastry and then cover the pie cutter and squeeze it so it cuts off the edges. You just take off the excess chunk. And there it is. It shaped it nicely. So if you prefer this method, you can use it. I also use different sizes of pie cutter to cut my pie. So I'm going to egg wash the pie. I'm just using beaten egg to egg wash it, so it has a nice glaze to it. Like I said, I used different sizes of pie cutter. So I'm just going to use the fork to pierce it. This is for decorative purpose. It's actually a habit, you know, because the pie is not going to burst if you don't pierce it. So if you like, don't pierce it. It's a habit. It's more of a habit than anything, and it gives it a nice look anyway. So I'm going to bake this in the oven for 20 minutes, and after 20 minutes the pie is cooked, and you can see the golden color that has been achieved. And like I said, the pie, the oven pan, you know, is non-stick, and the pie comes off easily. You can see how it looks. So the pie has baked really nicely. So this is the meat pie already looking so nice and so delicious, and we are going to cut into this pie to see how it looks. Look at that. It's looking so moist. All the filling is intact. You can see the chunk of the minced meat, so it's not mushy. Everything is looking on point, guys, and the crust is looking so flaky, so flaky. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye.